Now we're going to be discussing the path to sustainability. I'm very happy to present to you Olaf Stutzenberger, who received his diploma in electrical engineering from the University of Applied Sciences in Germany. And while he's worked for companies such as Victor's Electronics Europe in the R&D department, he found his way to ABB in the marketing and sales department, and he began focusing on marketing strategies and development and implementation. And 2007, he received additional global role as global training manager in the former unit of wiring accessories. Since the merger of the two units into today's Smart Building Division, Olaf is leading the global marketing team in the Global Marketing Communications Department of the Smart Buildings Division for ABB. Thank you. Olaf, please join us. Thank you.
So, I'm online, I guess? Yes. Great. Thank you for the introduction, Bob. And I'm very pleased to be back to the Smart Buildings Conference here again after the interruption due to the pandemic in 2019, I think it was the last time, and it was in Amsterdam, and now here in Barcelona, the beautiful city. And I was here last year to the Smart City World Congress in Barcelona as well, and I can tell you the city governments are requesting exactly what we are discussing around smart buildings today. So there's a huge demand on this. And let's go to the topic, and it's path to sustainability. And we have different angles maybe from your side, from my side, which are tackling the topic of sustainability, this circularity, avoiding waste and so on. But my topic today is more focusing on the energy in buildings itself. And yeah, and this is a challenging time around this and how to tackle this topic about the energy. And besides this, we have other challenges like supply chain disruption and rising costs in many markets and areas like in living and so on. And this is now anything but business as usual. And let's look a little bit back, because last time we had COP26, and with that we have now a spotlight on the built environment, and here for sure on the buildings, which, and I guess you know the figures, that buildings are contributing with roughly 40% to the global carbon emissions. And this is proved by many researchers. And with that, governments are imposing tighter restrictions on buildings use, energy consumptions, and like in the EU, in the European Union, all new buildings must be near zero, zero energy buildings. And for instance, in China, all new buildings, no, not all, a third of them needs to be so-called green buildings, whatever they do understand with this messaging. But this is on one hand a driver for a need in the energy field of buildings. The other driver is coming from the tenants, from the operators, from the building owners, and mostly because of the rising costs. And they are looking really into this, how they can lower the costs in the operation, and especially in terms of the energy usage, but on the other hand, for sure, with the direction to sustainability, use of renewable energy, and so on. And this is for sure a significant challenge with regards to smart buildings. But my message here is this. We have all the technologies. We don't need to wait for the future. And we can get rid of these building emissions already today. So no need to wait. This is really my message. And looking at what is available, like smart asset and energy management, which can change existing buildings. And sometimes we're talking always about new buildings. And today in the discussion was the topic of what is about the existing buildings, retrofitting them, and the solutions are there to help them to become more energy efficient and carbon neutral. And this would help to get rid of a huge portion of the global emissions. As I said already, that buildings have a biggest contribution to this. But with the topic of energy, we need to think about buildings in the connection in larger or smaller communities. Some people talking about societies and smart cities for sure. And we can connect the smart buildings to the smart grids with regards to the energy control. And this way we can use buildings as flexible assets to help reduce energy demand across the entire communities. And you know that we are moving to decentralized energy production, and this is one topic which I like to tackle now. And if you combine this with smart building technologies, then we are more independent from the grid itself and help the grid to decarbonize itself. Yeah, and now you may be thinking that's easy to say, staying here on stage, but maybe harder to do it in practice. But I try to give you the evidence. No, I will not try. I can give you the evidence about how this can be reached. And at ABB, we have some good examples, and it started not today, and it will not start tomorrow. It's already started in 2018. And the first site, which is on the journey to become carbon neutral, was opened in 2019. But open is maybe the wrong word, because it was not a new building. We retrofit an existing building to become or to go on the journey to carbon neutrality. I come back to this later on. And we call it the mission to zero. And the mission to zero itself it's a journey. So because you will not change an existing building immediately to a carbon neutral one. But this is a target and it's a journey, especially when it comes to existing buildings. For new ones, it's a different topic because there you can use all existing technology, renewable energy, which is available depending on where the building is located, and make it a real carbon neutral building. But the majority of buildings are already there. And let's see how we can change them to become carbon neutral. So consider mission to zero as a journey, and we take it as this, and this is a reason why this is part of the sustainability agenda of ABB, one part of it. So, and we are going to turn our existing buildings, so the productions, the office buildings, the logistic we have all around the world, to carbon neutral one. And this is a program now in ABB, a program itself, with a scalable blueprint of smart building solutions. And combined with on-site renewable energy usage. That's one important. And this is one goal, to generate as much as possible clean energy on-site. And this is possible. And we have already applied it to 5 of our sites. And now we're going to implementing it in the next years to 20 more. 12 will come this year. And the first one, it's a picture of it, is where, by the way, my office is located. I'm very proud of this. And it was opened in 2019. And it's using a lot of smart building technology. And the major thing which I want to go deeper into it is about the energy management. Using a lot of renewable energy. So as you can see, solar is the majority of this. Next step will be to using heat from the earth. Currently, it's not fully carbon neutral, but with this solution now, the location is able to source 50 to 60% of the energy demand every year from this solution. So although some people in Germany say, so this is not the sunniest region in Germany, but it's enough to get enough energy, and on sunny days, it's 100% independent from the grid. So that's a great achievement. And on the journey, during the next years, it will become 100% carbon neutral. But this is a good example, and as I said previously, we don't have to wait. This is opened in 2019, and yeah, working since that quite good with these results. And so the return of investment, and in the discussion it was discussed a little bit. It's not about that the investment is worthwhile with regards to invested money. There are different other values coming out of this. So for sure, the sustainability approach and seen in the society as a value now, and for employees. So the employees are proud to work in a place and in a company which is really taking care about this. And this is the evidence of this. And even for new employees, and I think this was one point from the colleague from Deloitte, that new employees are looking for this. Who's taking care about this? And with that, we see it in the application that this is one reason why they applied for new jobs at this location, because they're taking care. And with that, there's upcoming change in the mindset of the employees as well, because at the beginning it started to have some charging places for the employees. And at the beginning, indeed, there was one colleague who had an EV car. And although we had enough charging places there, 8 for the employees and 2 fast chargers for the visitors. And this year, and it's opened now 2 weeks ago, we extended it to 50 more chargers, because more employees changed their mindset and have now an electrical car. So you see, it's a change of mindset. If you go forward, some will follow. In this case, the employees. That's another return of investment you need to consider. And it's not only about the money you have to spend for such kind of solution to retrofitting an existing site. And by the way, here are working around 1,000 people, and the investment was about 2 million euros, and the time for the return of investment was calculated with about 5 years, but it's now less. And if you take in account the other values which coming out of it with the employees, change of mindset, getting new people on board, because they are looking exactly for such kind of companies, I would say the return of investment is already there after 3 years. And that's great. And there are other factories, and I'll give you an overview about the program which is in place to change more places, sites of ABB around the world to carbon neutral sites to start on the mission to zero. They are all existing sites. There's the next one was in 2020, Beijing in China, and they called it the National Green Factory. This is how they promoted it in China, and even by the government, very well recognized by the Chinese government. And then last year we had 2 other locations in Europe. One was Ede in the Netherlands, and another one was in Finland, Porvoo. And by the way, Porvoo is already, I would say, at the end of the journey, because it's already carbon neutral. And it's due to the fact that they're using a combination of reuse of energy, renewable energy. So they have a solar part, they're using heat out of the ground, and reusing energy from the production. And with this combination, they are fully independent from the grid and 100% carbon neutral. That's a quite good achievement. The others are on the way. And then recently opened 4 weeks ago. It was a location in Dalmeny in Italy, and all these mentioned sites are the first ABB Mission to Zero sites in their countries. More will come, as I said already at the beginning. And it's all in this program about using digital energy management to drive the energy transition. So digitalization is one, and electrifying everything to get rid of fossil energy usage on site, where we have for heatings, for instance, in these locations, natural gas. You can change it to renewable energy or electric energy. But considering that if you are not grid independent to buy then green energy That's quite important if you want to be really carbon neutral. And with that, we can reach really the target to become more carbon neutral, even in existing buildings. And one important thing to mention, and this was discussed as well, is that the challenge to this is too big for any single organization, even for ABB. And we tried to solve in the first location everything with our own technology. It worked out, but the main purpose of this was to show the technology is existing. We do not need to reinvent the wheel. So there will be changes in the technology, that's clear, but it was existing, and we could show it by changing the Lüdenscheid site to a carbon neutral one, or on the journey, and with existing technology. Okay, it was our then approach to say, hey, we at ABB, we have a lot of solutions, but this is not the approach of the program, because collaboration is very important in the implementation, in the technology, and we are collaborating a lot. And one thing here to mention is that the systems you are going to use here needs to be open systems. Open APIs are already mentioned. Another thing is if you're going to plan such kind of solutions and going to integrate then different technologies, global standards are there, and we have some information about this later on. So KNX is here, one of the standards. That's important. Use global standards. Otherwise, it will not become a successful story at the end, because it's too complicated. You're not able to combine these technologies, because you need different technologies, and it's not a matter who's creating this, who's developing it, who's the manufacturer. There can be different one, and bringing it together based on open technology, on interoperability, on global standards, that's key. And this is where we believe in that this need for cooperation is very, very important. Yeah, and this means then to collaborate then with not only on the technology side, need to collaborate with the policymakers, the regulators, to establish more standards around the globe to make it easier happen. That's quite important. This is where we're working on as well. And yeah, coming close to the end, as I said, is collaboration, one important point. And if you think that we spend 90% of our lives in buildings, no matter if it's our private life or when we're going to work, it's all in buildings, more or less. So, and that buildings are in the front line in the battle against climate change. And considering buildings are contributing 40% of the global emissions, we can make a change quite quickly happen with changing buildings to carbon neutral ones. So that's it. And let's do together a pledge to go for it, to turn existing buildings, and the majority are existing buildings. I would say, due to the regulations and change mindset, that new buildings are already considered to use such kind of technology to become carbon neutral. I'm not sure if I mentioned it at the beginning. For instance, in Germany, all new buildings in Germany, if you go for the construction, needs to be more or less carbon neutral, using a huge portion of renewable energy. No new building will be built without implementation of the use of renewable energy. So with that, we all lose or win together. That's important, and there are no borders for the global warming. So together we can make it. And that's my message, and let's go for it. Collaboration is key, and this conference is helping to do it together, sharing experience and use of technology which is available already today. Thank you.